Welcome to Updated Autopsy Report, a podcast from Yotze Ben and Friends where we read and watch the inspirations behind Ace Attorney. I'm your host, Ben, and with me today is Dessy.
Hello.
And two good friends of ours, Tiago.
Yo.
And Rose.
Hi.
We're all longtime fans of Ace Attorney. We hope that through our perspectives, it'll reveal new details and provide interesting commentary for all the media we discuss. Our intro music is by Lace, and you can find all her other work at leiss.bandcamp.com. Today, we are all discussing the first 5 stories of The Extraordinary Adventures of Arsene Lupin by Maurice LeBlanc from 1907. This is a collection of stories bundled up after they had been published, over the prior, 2 years roughly in French magazines. And then, after that, they were compiled here, and they've gone through a couple different translations. But I think the one we're mostly all using here, I believe, is one by George Moorhead, which is on Project Gutenberg. Does anybody have any prior experience with Arsene Lupin, or maybe just any Maurice LeBlanc work before this?
Persona 5.
So like spin-offs, like riffs on the idea of Lupin.
I'm an enjoyer of Lupin the Third.
Yeah, I think
that guy too.
We're all pretty big Lupin the Third fans here.
Yeah, we're enjoyers for sure.
There've been a lot of adaptations of Lupin stories, and then also just works riffing on it, inspired by it. We're all very, very fond of Monkey Punch's manga, and then anime adaptations of Lupin the Third. And as of this recording, literally there's new Lupin movies coming out by Takashi Koike right now. So
this is what I'm hearing. Yes.
Hopefully within the next week, I'll be able to see at least one of those.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Sick, new movie.
New movie.
Tight.
Arsene Lupin, the Gentleman Thief. If you're not familiar with Lupin, I'd be a little surprised, because the archetype of Lupin now has become so suffused within culture that it's basically just as common as the genius detective, right?
It just occurred to me that I made a Persona 5 references when I should have been referencing Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger, and I apologize.
There you go.
Oops.
Thank you.
We forgore.
I forgore. Dude, Des, you're based.
Thanks.
We all know this to be true.
Yep.
Maurice LeBlanc, my notes there that I have, say, he also resented Lupin's success over time, much like, Conan Doyle with Sherlock Holmes, and eventually Agatha Christie with Poirot. It seems to be a common tale in which authors create a character that is so popular and so famous, and everybody just wants more stories, and the writer's like, God damn it, I want to write something else.
Back then you could just run away to the woods, you could just run now you can, DM George R.R. Martin on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't, but, people
I
do, I'm
DM him.
sure.
You can reply to his live journal blog or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably better.
I would never want to respond to George R.R. Martin, because, as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of that sentence.
Yeah, I was
Okay,
gonna say,
alright.
I'm weighing, how aggro I want to go based on how you finish that, because I don't think you've read any of his books.
What makes you think I'm not literate?
That's not what I said.
Yeah, you're right, my fault.
Okay, haha.
Backpedal.
Okay, haha.
Let's talk about whatever it is that we're talking about.
It's about, so let me introduce you to this guy named Arsene Lupin, alright? He is a gentleman thief. Now, here's the little joke I made to myself yesterday inside of my own head, and then I had to explain it to Rose, who I was hanging out with, which is simply, alright, gentleman thief. Alright, what does gentleman sound like? Oh, it sounds like gender. Oh, Arsene Lupin, Genderman Thief. And then I really went to Slenderman? Is he a Slenderman? And that's the train of thought my brain took. Now that I say it out loud, what do you think?
I feel like you're leaving out the important part where we did a bit about Slenderman's pronouns and ended up on Venderman, which is completely just out of pocket and doesn't make any sense.
Dude,
that was the end of that conversation. This is what Tiago that I do when we hang out.
ADHD truly is the blood web of everything.
I have OCD. I haven't been tested for ADHD.
I have been tested for ADHD, and they told me I was dyslexic instead.
I was tested for ADHD. I think they told me I didn't have it because they didn't want to give me medication.
Wait, that's actually
that's
crazy.
That's not even why I got tested.
The dealer taking away the drugs? I don't get it. Anyway, let's go back to Arsene Lupin. He steals, and he's really cool while he does it. So I've been listening to the audiobook, right? And the audiobook does give him a French accent along with literally every other character who is French.
Wait, which one which one?
I used the audiobook that was on Spotify because I have a... Oh, okay, cool.
What's going on right now?
There's not much going on. I felt weird like saying that I was...
It's really, really hot right now. Maybe half the cast has heat stroke.
It's so fucking hot, you guys.
I posted a picture of my recording setup right now. I am underneath a curtain so that they can't hear my AC and the tea blasting near my window.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only my head underneath the curtain. Everything else is like a tank top and shorts. So I'm kind of chilling and hot at the same time. I'm like if you poured hot caramel on an ice cream.
Right.
Now, going back to Arsene Lupin, the reason that we're all here, right?
Yes.
He steals, right? He takes away from others, but
he does steal.
He's kind of cute about it. What do you think?
Yeah, he's like a sassy little guy about it.
He's kind of funny. He gives off that Bugs Bunny energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that like that aspect of his personality was put into Herlock Sholmes from Good Ace Attorney, where he's just so mischievous. Like he gives the fucking I would never ha ha ha, and then gives it a very obvious lie, and then he goes, "Well, you see, my friend, I needed the lie because I would not be able to succeed without the lie. Ha ha ha." He doesn't say ha ha ha. That's
or often like I guess bending the truth, in a lot of ways. Like what I said was technically true. Some of that going on too. But and obviously incredible disguises. Because everybody seems to constantly be baffled by who he really is. The trick is pulled multiple times so far in the first half of this book. That in which we are being narrated the story by somebody who seems to not be Lupin, but of course it is always Lupin in the end.
They did it twice.
That's true.
I caught on the first time. I genuinely did. Like part of the way through, I was like, "This man is simping far too much," and I find it genuinely suspicious.
I fell for it the first time, but the second time I was like.
The second time I was on to him.
Yeah, I knew, haha.
I was in fact like, this better not be the same trick again, but it was. Should we go over it chapter by chapter, or should we?
I have summaries here, so if you want me to go, I have a summary for each story so far, because they are like sequential stories, but they are also kind of isolated, right? They do follow one another, but they're relatively standalone. So, in the very first one, the arrest of Arsène Lupin during a long seaward journey to America, it is learned that Arsène Lupin is on the boat under a partially revealed pseudonym. Bernard d'Adrenzi, the teller of our first tale, is quite infatuated with the well-off woman Miss Nellie, but takes time away from wooing her to help hunt for Lupin. However, as the ship arrives at port, famous Inspector Ganimard arrests Bernard, who is, of course, Lupin in disguise. Miss Nellie, upon learning that she is holding Lupin's loot during his arrest, drops the jewels into the water.
Yo, so
Silly
like...
girl.
Good for her.
I mean, I feel bad for Lupin though. You
Yeah,
know?
he's straight up like, yeah, I'm in love with her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
he's legitimately, he's like, yeah, no, I actually really liked her.
Yeah,
like,
I was just super into her. She was really hot and cool.
his line specifically was like, "Shame that I am not an honest man," and I was like, "Ah, damn, Bucko,
Right.
that's tough."
I found this to all be terribly French, like the way that like Father Brown emphasized Frenchness, but like the Frenchmen are coming from inside the house this time.
They're in the walls.
You know,
Fucking
that makes
Christ.
sense.
It's in the sauce. You know,
It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
I thought so. Like halfway through the story, he starts accusing another person of being Arsene Lupin, and I just go like, he's probably right. Anyway, I stopped thinking about it, and then the Ganamad, the detective. First of all, sick name, Ganamad. Full name, dude. He goes, "You're Arsene Lupin," and I, the reader, went, "Oh, gee willikers, I guess it must be. A detective wouldn't lie to me."
They're allowed to do that in America, at least. I don't know about France.
French tell no lies until they tell lies.
Yeah, that can't be true.
I've never been to France.
I mean, I fucked.
You're either French and you lie, or you're French and you don't lie. Or you aren't French and you don't lie.
Okay, I need a truth table right now. I need to fucking get my grid out to figure out who's lying and who's not. My thoughts about the first story is that it was on a boat, and I was like, "Oh man, I like a boat." And then there was a woman, and then and I went, "Oh god, I like a woman." And then there was Jules, and I went, "Oh god, I like Jules." And I don't know. I was kind of I don't have much critique of the initial story because it just sort of happens. You know what I mean?
It's not that deep.
I mean,
like,
yeah,
while I was
right.
reading these, I was like, I'm looking for like a themes or something. I'm not really coming up with like any reoccurring themes other than like, haha, mischief and like pocket watch theft.
Right.
So like, but you know what?
I mean,
that's okay.
Ooh,
I'm
pocket
having a good time.
There's something that I like to call, and this comes into play more in the later stories than this one specifically, but there's something in media that I like to call competency porn, where sometimes it's just nice and fun in a story to see somebody really fucking good do something really well, but it's got to be constructed right, you know? And then of course, you know, you got to have your wrench thrown into things and then have the character overcome it. But it does have to be done right. And I think a lot of stuff that like often hits this is things like, say, Ocean's 11, right? Or something like that, right? Where you are seeing a bunch of cool people do cool things well and pull off, you know, their heist or whatever it might be. And Lupin has a lot of that vibes where you're never really truly worried about whether Lupin's going to get arrested, or is he going to get away or whatever.
Oh no, how will the man who gets out of everything get out of this one?
Right. It is more in the fun of how, right? Much like how we enjoy Columbo, because it is not, you know, who is the killer, but how do you catch them? So again, here it's how does Lupin get out of it? What creative, you know, wacky, you know, techniques is he going to use to get out of here? I did find it very funny that like the opening of this book, like that first paragraph or two gets like very romantic and eloquent about the telegram and getting messages while riding on this beautiful boat, you know, across the sea. And then we kind of just get into, you know, I don't want to maybe necessarily call it schlocky in the negative way, but schlocky in the fun. It's just, yeah, we're just seeing a bunch of people like schmooze on the boat and, you know, wonder about who, you know, could be Lupin, and they start to puzzle it out and try to figure it out. And, you know, you get a lot of that upper class like conversation dialogue going on, especially with stuff like Miss Nellie, where she's just like, oh my goodness, you know, who could it be? And Bernard, of course, is like, oh, don't you worry, you know, I'm sure they'll catch him. I also did highlight a few funny sentences that I enjoyed from this, just good little ones referencing Miss Nellie. Wealth and beauty form an irresistible combination, and Nellie possessed both.
Ooh.
I do find that attractive in a woman. Lots of money.
Lots of money.
Women deserve
80
money.
shoulder pads also.
Women deserve money. True.
So
Women
true.
deserve money.
The other one I had highlighted was when they were describing Lupin's earlier exploits. He left a note that said, Arsene Lupin, gentleman burglar, will return when the furniture is genuine. And of course,
that's a funny one.
Which is funny.
He's such a funny guy.
And I also, I also did like the one that you mentioned, Tiago. What a pity that I am not an honest man.
Yeah, it's sick.
When he gets arrested.
I did enjoy at the very end. It's sort of revealed that there's a second twist where our narrator is actually a guy taking dictation from Lupin describing how he was arrested. We don't know who this narrator is yet. But
unreliable narrator.
he sort of describes Lupin as like never appearing the same way twice, and he says, Lupin says like, why should I retain a definite form and feature? He's like, why should I ever be so boring as to be the same all the time and have the same personality? And I was just like, hey man, you know what? That's kind of cool. Happy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a fun gender vibe, but my gender is theft.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
My gender is
crime gender.
Tumblr fans would go crazy for that one.
Yeah. 2012.
2012 girlies would love Lupin.
Yeah, we need to get Super Hulock out of here. We got to replace the lock.
Well,
with
I made the mistake of looking at the name of Chapter 9 when I opened this up on the Gutenberg Project.
Yeah,
Gutenberg
don't worry,
website.
we'll get there.
Shout out to them for saving my ass. So whoopsies. Yeah.
Who's gonna be there? Dean and Sam from Supernatural?
It's Dean and Sam from Supernatural.
I knew it. I've always been I gotta remember which one is which. Dean fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're a Dean girl. I know.
I don't.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
I like Arsene. He's a funny guy. He doesn't seem too bad. He hasn't done anything evil. If he's killed, I don't know, man. That's a little harsh, but...
I don't think there's been any murders.
He doesn't seem like a murderer to me.
I haven't come across any murders so far in the first 5 stories, so...
If he murders, damn.
Well, we'll have to keep reading and find out, I suppose, won't we?
Yeah.
The second story, then, is Arsene Lupin in prison. While our thief is enjoying his relaxing time in La Sante prison, Baron Nathan Cahorn has received a letter informing him Lupin will steal many of his valuables on September 27th. A nervous wreck of a man, the Baron seeks out Inspector Ganimard, who he learns is vacationing nearby, and begs him to watch over his estate on the night of the planned thievery. Ganimard reluctantly agrees, but on the night of the 27th, nothing seems to happen, except all the valuables still go missing. He insists that the Baron inform no one he was here and that he'll be back for the formal investigation. Ganimard visits Lupin in prison to interview him, and Lupin tells him that he posed as the inspector to carry out the crime. And then he says matter-of-factly, I won't be at my trial.
Well, wait, wasn't it one of Lupin's friends who was posing as Ganimard to trick the Baron into letting him in the house?
It is, in fact, one of his friends.
It's one of his friends.
Then wow, that's embarrassing.
All right, then my Venmo's
really embarrassing.
Because I remember making a note of being like, man, I wish I knew who Lupin's cool friends are that are doing all the work for him.
Yeah, he has a network.
Salty.
He has a thieves network, like in that game you like, Fall in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought a lot about Sly Cooper.
You know what? Sly Cooper's sick as hell, actually. Yeah, that's even better.
I went on a fun little art history adventure during this one, where I straight up just stopped reading and got on the internet and started, because he mentions the work of the painter Antoine Watteau, and is like, oh, I want the little one, but not the big one, because I think that one's probably a fake, so I don't want it. So can you pack up the little one for me, because I'm going to come steal it. So I went on a fun little adventure. Wandering through the internet, found out that in the beautiful city of Boston, Museum of Fine Arts has an Antoine Watteau painting, and it is on view. And so I went and saw it.
Is it the real? Is it the real painting from the like the exact painting from the story?
I don't know if it's the painting from the story, but it can be if we want it to.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll choose that.
Because I just went to see it and I got kind of excited about his paintings, and he was a very influential French painter who sort of facilitated the transition between the Baroque style and the Rococo style. And died at the age of 23 from tuberculosis. Or not 23. 36. Okay. Why is 23 in my head? That would be even more upsetting because he was really quite good.
Bro got wasting disease.
I have a question,
He
Rose.
got wasting disease.
If you were Arsene Lupin, would you have stolen that painting?
The painting that I put up in the chat?
Yeah.
The painting, by the way, is the view through the trees in the park of Pierre Crozat, Oil on Canvas by Antoine Watteau. You can look that shit up. I do rather like this one. It's quite small. Much like the painting that Lupin stole. Or didn't. His friends stole while he chilled in his room in prison.
Does his friends get a cut? I hope so.
I think so. But this one's notable for being.
No, he just did it because he was a real bro.
But hold on, I'm almost done info dumping. Okay. I think it can be this one because it's one of the few Watteau paintings that has a named location. Almost all of his they're these beautiful like lush tree landscapes with these like people like hanging out in gardens, like watching plays outdoors. Most of them are imaginary, and this is one of the few ones that is an actual location in France. So that's fun. You should look him up. He died tragically young and was an incredible painter and draftsman. Yeah.
I'll choose to believe
I love
that
art history.
I will choose to believe that is the one Arsene Lupin wanted.
Yeah, and it's this one because I got to go see it with my real eyeballs.
Right.
So I got really excited about Lupin.
Yeah, he was like, I really like the painting of all the people hanging out in this grove. You know,
they're
really
all
shiny
his
clothes.
paintings. Those clothes are so shiny.
I think all I learned,
they're really shiny is the thing. I was really surprised. I was like, it almost looks like she's wearing foil in a way. Just because it's
really
so bright.
Reflective silk.
I mean, being able to paint silk like that was so important. Because that's what people wanted to be painted in. That's the.
Oh yeah, you want to show off. You want to see, like, look at my cool silk that I'm wearing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I need you to be able to paint it.
Render
correctly.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Render it.
It's cool. It's true beauty. Yeah.
I am just happy his friends probably got paid for this. Really sick prank to just have a letter sent to a baron and then just set up a guy to be a fake Ganamad. I like the note here that he did this as a revenge against Ganamad, because he's like, Ganamad, I'm not, like, super tight that you arrested me, that's fine. But, like, I at least wanted to play a prank, so I wanted you to have to arrest arrest yourself.
Yeah.
Ganamad must go arrest Ganamad. And that's, like, I think it's weird that he's, like, poetic about it, like a weird Greek nymph, like, fucking...
He is, like, straight up just, like, pranking his buddy. Because they're pretty friendly.
They like their conversations. Arsene Lupin likes their conversations, and Ganamad seems cordial enough to be a friend. I like that energy. It reminds me of that one James Bond, like, I forget if it's a quote, but I believe a director or someone. I'm not gonna say from who, but I heard somewhere that, like, the ideal version of a James Bond movie is at the very end, James Bond visits the supervillain in the hospital and, like, shakes his hand, and then the supervillain shakes it back.
Huh?
Tiago, what you are quoting is a little bit of a whisper down the lane thing, because I remember the original quote behind this.
Okay, what's the original quote?
What?
So what you're describing is actually it is, I believe it's based in some truth. I don't know how true it is, but it was believed that when Rare was working on GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64.
Gotcha. Yep.
Nintendo did not like all the violence in it. And reportedly, Rare was told by Miyamoto, well, wouldn't it be better if at the end of the game, Mr. Bond went to the hospital and shook the hands of every single person he shot so that you knew they didn't die from being shot.
Wait, that'd be kind of sick, though.
But
And that was Miyamoto's bizarre idea for how to, like, soften the violence of this
Like,
game.
they're not actually dead.
They're like to show they're not actually dead. And
that's fucking
again,
hilarious.
This is it's one of those things where I don't know how true that is, but it has gotten shared and passed around quite a bit in multiple forms now over the years.
Gotcha.
So that's where that came from. It's actually from Shigeru Miyamoto.
Wow, guys. Video games.
Dude, shout out to
myth.
Miyamoto. Thanks, man.
Possibly real, who knows? But yeah.
We'll never know.
That's so fucking
GoldenEye.
funny.
But yeah, it's a really funny, bizarre thing to want to do.
You never
Listen,
thought it
I
was
get
from,
it.
like...
Guns are scary, but it's
It's not
funny.
about the guns. I
They're
just
not,
like the...
They're not real guns.
They're
in
not
the
real
video game.
guns.
It's in the video game. It's
Video
okay.
game guns.
I promise
so, like-
you, it's gonna be fine.
Well, like, the thing about it, though, is that, like, I don't like the intent of it having to be like, oh, you're actually a pacifist, haha. No, I just like the idea of it simply because I like the idea of, like, I followed your plans, but, like, that doesn't mean we can't be at, like, you know, chill. I just like that aspect of it, where it's like there's a
Right.
mutual sort of respect amongst, like, super spy versus his enemy, and I like that respect between Arsene and Ganimard, which is simply, you arrested me, that's your job, I don't hate you for it.
I
You know,
do
we can be
enjoy
chill.
the concept of sort of like, we're just on different teams, but like you're chill.
Yeah.
Where like, I don't know if that's exactly what's happening because Lupin's just a fucking rascal.
Getting
He's
close
just a
to
funny
enemies
little
enemies
guy.
to lovers here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like a little bit gay.
It can't not be.
What?
Anytime you have this kind of dichotomy
Happy
going
Pride
on.
Month,
It's just
everybody.
a
Have
little
you
gay.
seen how much Lupin the Third ex Zenigata like smut there is out there? Like,
Yeah.
No, that's
I mean,
different.
Listen,
That's
it's not my like ship to sail, but like I support it. You know, I see where you're coming
Right.
from, buddy. I get it.
I don't really... Well, Zenigata is a different person from Ganimard.
well, yeah, obviously. I mean, they're entirely different characters. I mean, even obviously, Lupin the Third is very different from Arsene Lupin proper.
Yeah, Lupin the Third is
It's
horny.
like his great grandson. God.
Yeah. That's
I
where
mean,
all the...
obviously, we see a little bit in story one with Miss Nelly. We already see like a little bit of like Lupin being distracted by a woman. Like we see where that element might have come from when Monkey Punch was being inspired for his story.
Yeah, but
you
then
know?
Arsene was like, "Oh, she's so beautiful. I love her." Like within minutes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, he's French.
Lupin is just that. is
Whereas,
just-
yeah, Lupin the Third is diving into bed, you know, swan dive, you know.
Yeah.
Damn. A real hero.
So one of us is a
Oh.
little bit more of a gentleman, perhaps.
Yeah.
Some of us are Arsene Lupin, some of us are Lupin the Third. It's up to you to decide which one you're which.
some of us are Arsene Lupin. Some of us are great grandson Lupin.
Yeah,
Exactly.
inside of you are two wolves, etc., etc.
One's horny and one's not.
Wolves?
Ah, you see what I did there?
I see what you
Ah.
did there.
Wait, what'd you do? I don't get it.
We
Lupin-
were in
Lu-
French
Lu-
class together.
Lupin means wolf.
Oh!
We were literally in French together.
Oh my god!
Girl, I tried to fucking dish that class as soon as I could. I don't remember shit from first class.
Uh,
I actively told the teacher I want to give up, and her response was, "I won't let you." And my next response is simply, "Why?" I wanted to give up so bad.
Oh, she thought that I was a different girl in our class. She kept getting our names mixed up. And then she was like, "Oh, don't drop out to take AP Studio Art." And I was like, "Our school is so small that there's only one French class and only one AP Studio Art class, and you think I'm fucking staying in here? What's my name, madame?
Yeah,
Straight
I
up,
took the
who
studio
am I? You don't even know."
I took the studio
You
art
think I'm
class.
great.
It was a
Yeah,
bad
real.
course. Anyway, that's enough about our high school careers.
Yeah.
I like
God.
Ganimard in this one. I like Arsene. They like he's not allowed to have anything in his prison cell like Hannibal Lecter, but he just keeps having shit in there. And fucking, it's incredible. The guards don't know how to frisk him. He's just so quirky. He's just a quirked
They're
up
like,
white
he
boy.
just seems really chill, so we just didn't bother with him.
Yeah, no, it's fine, man. I do like the story. Baron got pranked. Ganimard got pranked. Arsene Lupin pranked two people from inside a jail cell. And he had an eggshell to do it.
Egg.
That's all I got to say about this one.
I kind of rolled my eyes at that bit. They were like, "Oh, we cracked open an egg, and there was a piece of paper." I'm like, "Jesus Christ!"
What about it? It's hard to get paper in an egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How the fuck? Why the fuck?
Because you gotta smuggle it in.
Yeah. Should I summarize the escape of Arsene Lupin then?
Sure.
I'm voting. I want you to imagine the like TF2 vote for next match thing, and I'm voting for yeah. Yeah. Well, I kind of wish we could have that IRL for just like certain topics.
Mm-hmm. All right. Prior to the trial, the French police allow Lupin to escape intentionally and have tails set up to follow him. However, Lupin realizes this and simply has himself a nice dinner and then returns to prison willingly. During the trial, Ganimard is sure that Lupin has replaced himself with an imposter who looks vaguely similar. However, after some consternation and debate, they decide to let the imposter go. However, then, though, Ganimard tails the imposter only to speak with him and realize it is Lupin who has modified his appearance through diet and injections. Lupin thanks Ganimard for his help and leaves to dine with the British ambassador.
This one's a little silly. I don't know much about injections, but the idea that you couldn't put injections in your face to make you look like a different person. I mean, I guess it does happen in real life, literally every day.
Botox.
But yeah, no, but like my guy wasn't using. Yeah, he wasn't using Botox. He uses like herbs and shit. I don't know. Maybe herbs are easier. It brings about the whole like we have no idea what Arsene Lupin looks like, and I'm like, I get it, but like not even his height, yo. Did none of us measure him? He was in prison.
Nobody measured him. I mean, I think this one does have like a little bit of a fun twist at the end because he sort of explains, whilst holding hands, by the way, okay, that the like, oh, this worked because you were all so assured that it couldn't possibly be me. So even though this guy looked kind of similar to me and had my same like proportions, you all were so certain that it could not possibly have been me because I said I wouldn't be there for my trial.
Right.
And it did remind me a little bit of Ace Attorney. Like Game 2 Case 2 specifically, where you have the swap. Not exactly the same, but like you're so certain that this one person is dead, and then what if she's not? What if the entire premise is incorrect? Like, what if you do a little turnabout? Perhaps even. So I thought that one was kind of fun, even though the rest of this one didn't inspire me terribly much. There's a little more jujitsu in this one than I was expecting.
It's true.
Oh yeah, there was.
It had some nice moments, but
I think the most fun I had with this though was when Lupin escapes out of the policeman at the start, and he wanders around the city for a little bit, and he just kind of strolls, and he like gets himself a meal, and he's like, I guess I'll just kind of take my time getting back to the prison. And then when he walks up to the prison gate, he's like, "Hey, it's me, Arsene Lupin. Let me back in." And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Who are you? And he's like, "It's me." He's like, "I'm sorry, I don't have my business card on me."
I don't have any pocketbook.
Which is really funny.
I kind of even only vaguely recall the beginning of the story because the second of the story left much more of an impact on me. Well, the middle and the end, because like they had the whole thing with the judge going like, "Guards, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Does no one here know if that's Arsene Lupin?" And the guard straight up says, "Well, every time I checked on him, he was facing the wall and away from me, so I didn't get a really good look at his face." And the other guard is like, "Well, he was really chill. I didn't feel like I needed to look at him." And it's like, so none of you motherfuckers looked him in the eye? That's just kind of rude, to be honest. And then Ganimard was like, "Oh, no, this is definitely another man." That was my French accent. I'm never going to do that again. That was the last time I attempted that. Just so wild to me that, like, two fucking guards are like, oh yeah, maybe it's him, haha.
We
And then
don't
he
know
leaves.
anything.
I think it's really funny
I
that
feel like cops are usually pretty like good enough kind of guys, and not really I know this for sure kind of guys.
yeah, that's true. I like that at the very end he's like, I have to go have dinner with the governor because as an apology for accidentally arresting me, the fake persona that I've created for Arsene Lupin.
Right.
I hope he gets a good
I just
meal.
love how he's having like fancy dinners with all these like famous like upper class people, you know, in positions of power, and they just don't know that they're having dinner with Lupin at all.
It's kind of
fun.
I mean, I guess Face
Well,
IDs
you know,
weren't.
he's just their friend Steven from school, you know, like
I thought you were gonna say Steven.
Yeah, or
Universe
later
for
as
a
we get
second.
with Floriani.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah,
or whatever,
Florian.
yeah.
I like Ganamod's response where he immediately tries to like Simpson strangle Arsene, and Arsene karate chops him in the neck.
It's really funny.
Like
Jujitsu.
immediately.
Like, all of a sudden he gets
What
so
do you say?
strong.
He like hits him in the carotid artery.
Yeah, it like specifically hits him in the blood, and it's like, oh fuck,
In the
dude.
blood.
Yeah,
Punch
dude,
my
his
blood.
blood got
oh,
hit.
oof, ow, my blood.
And he's like, I'm trained in jujitsu. Also, I'm not mean, Ganamod. I thought we were friends. And Ganamod's like, you're not gonna tell anybody, are you? And he goes, nah, I don't wanna. I'm kind of confusing already. I should be more confusing.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry, I'll let you off easy, buddy.
We can still
I
be
like
friends. Yeah, we can still be
buddies.
friends.
So, yeah, it's fun.
I really like that relationship between Ganamod and Arsene Lupin, where it's simply, yeah, we're friends. We, like, you know, my job is to do stuff, his job is to stop me. And, you know, haha.
And we're having a lovely time about it.
Yeah, I like that, like, level of respect for each other.
I especially enjoy that when the one guy who's causing problems is like, we're having so much fun, and the other guy's like, we're not having so much fun.
Yeah,
You are stressing me the fuck out, man. This is not a haha fun time. And he's like, yeah, that is. Woohoo!
yippee!
We're
I
best
have to do this
friends.
and nothing will ever take that away from us. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's I don't really have too much else to add on to this one, unfortunately. You know,
Yeah, I know.
it's
I
a
was
fun
like,
one.
I was mentally pulling up the TF2 list vote for the next one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I'm opening my
Well.
notes.
Wait, Des, do you want to vote?
What are we voting
No,
on?
go ahead. I don't know what we're voting on.
Going to the next story, I think.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah. Let's move it right along.
All right. Well, in The Mysterious Traveler, Guillaume Berlot is taking a train, and his cabin mate is a Madame Renaud. Both are accosted by a thief who steals her jewels and escapes out the train window after tying up Guillaume, who, of course, at this point, is revealed to be Lupin.
Wow.
The thief has stolen Lupin's wallet in addition to the Madame's jewels, a wallet which contains plenty of compromising information on the thief. Once the police arrive, our hero is quite astute at tracking the criminal and helps them chasing the man down. Ensuring the police go one way and he another, Lupin corners the criminal in a thick grove and beats his ass. Upon finding his wallet, Lupin also realizes that this thief is a famous assassin, Pierre Onfray, and sets him up appropriately to be apprehended when the police arrive. He also, of course, returns the Madame's jewels.
Mm-hmm.
How nice of him.
Well,
This
she
one
does
is
help
in-
him out.
Yeah.
This one is interesting because, like, you get to hear Arsene's thought process of, like, oh, yeah, the lady first goes, don't you know, Arsene Lupin's on this very train. And, yeah, Arsene goes, interesting. Anyway, I'm going to bed.
That's
I'm not going to fucking deal with this.
crazy.
That's crazy. Gets
I do
woken up.
notice that whenever people are like, oh, Arsene Lupin is here, gentleman thief, whenever this character is like, oh, well, they're certainly never going to catch him. Like, he is always hyping himself up a little bit too much. I'm like, you can't keep getting away with this. You gotta work on Shut the Fuck Up Friday, bro.
Well, he doesn't care if it's another guy. When it's another guy, he goes, he'll most certainly be caught. Because that's not me. Hi. You know what I mean?
Well, but specifically
Lupin
when it's
would never get
Lupin,
caught
he's
because
like,
he's
you
so
won't catch
smart.
Lupin.
Yeah, when Lupin's talking about Lupin, yeah, I agree. But when Lupin's talking about fake Lupin, the other guy, the mugger, he's like, I'm gonna go catch him my own damn
Well,
self.
yeah, he took his
pissed me
wallet.
off. He woke up choking me? That's so rude. And then fucking tying me up, and the lady had to pretend to be asleep. And then the guy...
I'm sorry. I do love the
This
bit
made
when
me
he
laugh.
falls asleep. When he falls asleep, the lady's like, "But monsieur, you're not going to sleep." She seized my newspaper and looked at me with indignation. "Certainly not," I said. "That would be very impudent." "Of course," I assented. I struggled to stay awake.
Yeah, he's fucking
Immediately
tired.
falls asleep.
It's kind of incredible to me that, like, I think... What am I trying to say here? Let me get the... Alright, sentence start over, new one. I don't remember what I was going with the second one.
Okay.
I really enjoy the, like, perspective of Arsene Lupin realizing the irony of being mugged by someone who is pretending to be Arsene Lupin. Like, even he knows, like, this is pretty funny, haha. Anyway, I really gotta catch this dude. But I also have to not get caught, because now people are gonna think that I'm... Because now Arsene Lupin's name is, like, received 5 stars from the fucking GTA system.
Yeah, I like the idea of him having to, like, catch himself. Like, that's cute, you know?
It's kind of similar to the poetic irony that he gave to Ganamad only 2 stories ago. You know, with Ganamad having to catch Ganamad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it was not lost on him.
Yeah, that's true. I like him prepping the lady, being like, "Listen, lady, I need you to lie about me to make it as easy as possible to the police to mention to them that that guy stole your stuff, okay? This is absolutely for sure. If we do this, we'll for sure catch that guy, Arsene Lupin, you know what I'm saying?" And she just fucking falls for it immediately.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And she gets so into it, she forgets that she's not necessarily lying, but, like, omitting information.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I liked him realizing in the middle of the fucking train station, he's like, I should probably get out of here, because if I stay here too long, I don't know, something bad will happen to me. I don't know what, I don't know how. I feel like it will. Let's get out of here. It's incredible to me that, like, fucking... Somehow he just managed to get his own little fucking detective crew, because the detective is like, how do you know how to catch Arsene Lupin? And he goes, I got a couple tricks. I got deduction. I know how to think. And
Yeah, and he shows it off once or twice, and they're like, "Well, damn, you're a pretty all right fella. Well, why not come help us catch this guy?"
All right, amateur detective guy, let's roll.
Yeah, they just kind of like go roll with it.
No,
Here's my
question
2
that.
constables. You control them now.
Yeah,
Tell
I've
them
added
what to
these
do.
constables to my party.
It's so fucking funny. The
You
fact
can
that they
now
like
issue commands.
they get a
He does
vehicle.
straight
and
up think about that, too. He's like, these constables are now in my party. He tips
Yeah.
them.
It's true. Yeah.
He leaves them a tip and is like, thanks.
Yeah,
Here you
appreciate
guys
it, man.
go.
I like the chase scene between the train. I like him like running, like cornering the assassin, only to like find out. Oh yeah, he's an assassin. Fuck. I do like Arsene going, "Hey, listen, man. Join my party. If you join my party, I'll get you out of here. No problem. We can talk about this later. But if we both don't want to get arrested, this sucks." But then the fake Arsene pulls out a fucking knife. Violence.
Does not wish to join the party.
Yeah.
Tis a pity. We could have used a strong guy on the crew. I forget how he takes him down. Is it just like jujitsu? I think it's just jujitsu.
Yeah, I think he just jujitsus him again.
I can't believe he's so good at jujitsu. Is there French jujitsu?
Things that I weren't expecting were jujitsu and, like, how many other dudes he has to just do shit for him. Because,
Mhm.
like, you know, in Lupin the Third, like, he has some dudes who do things for him, but, like, you know those guys.
Yeah, those are like 4 specific guys.
Yeah, like, here's my friend, like, Jigen, like, we do stuff together, you know?
Yeah.
Where they're
And
characters.
here-
This is my partner with benefits.
Yeah,
This is my-
whereas, like,
this is-
here he's just like, I know a guy. And you're like, okay, but who? What's his name?
Yeah,
He's
they've always got to
probably
be just
French,
conveniently
but, like-
vague enough, you know.
So it's like a little disappointing.
Yeah.
You want to know Arsene Lupin's friends?
Yeah, they're playing such a big role.
That's true. That's true. They're playing a big role. Well, you don't get to meet them. That's the way of the world, Rose. I'm sorry. Boo. Listen, I'm not Maurice LeBlanc. I didn't fucking write this shit.
I guess it's a classic.
I guess it's a
Yeah.
classic.
I know you brought up that you liked being in Lupin's head, Tiago. But I do like, I highlighted some of these lines in here when he's driving the car and he describes it as, it participated in my anxiety. It endorsed my determination. It comprehended my animosity against that rascally Arsene Lupin, the knave, the traitor. He's such a drama queen. he's so like, so over the top here. And then, yes, when he grabs the assassin then at the end, and he says, "Listen, my boy," I whispered in my ear,
Car
"I am
guy.
Arsene Lupin. Yeah, listen to me, young man. I want you to go down to GameStop and buy me a copy of Bambi for PS2.
You can't just say that, Ben. Whoops, I just dropped something. Yeah, that's fair.
And then of course, obviously, yeah, like you guys said, the guy does not take the offer, and Lupin is forced to discombobulate him.
Beat his ass.
True.
Discombobulate.
I did like him tipping the two guards that were with him, the two constables that were with him, because they were like, they seemed like alright guys. Maybe we could have been friends, you know? Haha.
Right. And
This
then he
one,
gets his blurb in the paper saying, "Thank you. What a wonderful thief."
yeah, he caught a serial killer, an assassin. That's like way more important than just a jewel thief.
Yeah.
And he very kindly returned the jewels. I think he
Yes.
probably took everything else that was in there, but he did
Yeah, he
return
took
the jewelry.
He took the bills. He was like, I fucking need this. You know what I mean? This is, I think, my favorite story out of the 5 that we read, simply because I like the perspective given, the action, the resolution. The beginning left a little to be desired, but that's because it was ramping up. I think this one is my personal favorite out of these 5.
Yeah. It is a pretty good one. Alrighty. Then should I cover the last one here then?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right. Now this one's a little more complex because this one has 2 layers to it, so I'll do my best here. In the Queen's Necklace, we learn of a count and countess who have the famous diamond necklace of Marie Antoinette fame. The countess wears this necklace so good, you guys. However,
She's like
after their
smoking hot, everybody. Trust us.
yeah, and the count is just like, she's so good at wearing it, dude. It's really funny how much they described it. Like, yeah, she's good at wearing necklaces.
It's probably heavy.
It probably is. I did a little research about the necklace that this is based off of. And yeah, it's very funny. Big old thing. So yeah, after their fancy dinner party, it is stolen from their locked room with the deadbolt still intact and the window still fastened.
Oh my god, a fucking closed room.
Yeah. The one and
I
only.
also wrote that in my notes. I was just like, locked room.
Yep, locked room mystery. They suspect their friend Henriette, who has an apartment on the opposite side of the window, but are unable to prove anything. However, casting the suspicion on Henriette ruins their friendship, and the woman and her young son are essentially cast out of the home. In the 6 years before her death, Henriette receives large sums of money once per year in the mail, which is pretty weird, but still, no one can prove that she did it. Many years later, the Count and Countess are having a small gathering, and one of their guests, a chevalier named Floriani, claims that he knows how the theft took place. Floriani details how the crime happened, and the Count is able to verify his theory by examining the window and the apartment. The boldness and confidence of his declaration leads everyone to believe that Floriani was Henriette's son who actually did the theft. However, the rules of polite society prevail, and no one accuses him directly of the act, but instead kind of talk around it, with the Duchess saying that she hopes that if Floriani ever meets the boy, that he tells him that the necklace, even without the diamonds, is worth returning. A few days later, the Queen's necklace is indeed returned, courtesy of one Arsene Lupin.
You know what? Fuck you. Unsteals your necklace.
Yeah, you know what, though? Fuck these people. They don't deserve their goddamn necklace back.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
All the diamonds were removed. It's just the frame, the actual frame of the necklace. I actually don't know enough about jewelry to know what. I assume there's a term for like the actual structure.
Yeah, the setting
of the necklace.
Thing.
Yeah, the setting, I guess, without the diamonds in it. But yeah, so that part gets returned, but obviously all the diamonds are still gone. And there's even a comment from Floriani, presumably Lupin, who says that, some of them weren't even genuine anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is like a story that kind of establishes Arsene Lupin's background, quote unquote. I kind of like, I don't know if I like the idea of him having a background. You know what I mean? Because
I think it's one of those things where if you want to read this as Lupin just kicking into a story, and it not actually being Henriette, not actually being his mother, and like this not actually being his backstory, and he just knows about it because he's a thief and he's involved in this shit, right?
Yeah,
you could read it that way because there's enough vagueness that you can read it a couple different ways if you really want to. But I think the general lead of the story is, yeah, you're meant to believe that this is all Lupin. He was the kid. This was one of his first crimes type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's how it felt to me, like it was intended to be read. And I actually didn't mind it. Like, it leaves out enough where I can still have a little imagination. But like, the little bit of the tragic backstory, like the story about Henriette as she was a noble woman who was disowned for marrying beneath her station.
Yeah.
Her husband has died. She's raising this kid alone. She's like a shut-in seamstress who gets blamed for a crime she doesn't commit. And there's her little son who actually fucking did it.
Because he was the only one light enough to like put this board out across the window and crawl out and
figure out how to open the
the
window without like unlatching it. And that's kind of a fun little like enterprising child does something and makes it his whole personality, like
yeah, and doesn't probably at the time does not realize the consequences it would have, right? But now it's kind of now we're here, and so you get it. I think what's most fun about this story to me is the conversations that they're all having at the end once everybody in the room realizes that Floriani / Lupin did it, but nobody wants to just outright say it, and they are all kind of having this like polite conversation around talking around those exact things, and they all start the Duchess saying like, well, Mr. Floriani, if you ever meet the boy where he's grown up and might be your age and might look a little bit like you and maybe even is a chevalier like you, if you ever meet him in your travels, I hope that you would tell him that even just the setting of the necklace is valuable to our house and we would like to have it back. And he's like, well, sure, I'll tell him if I ever meet him.
maybe you shouldn't have given it back because these people are horrible to your mother and you should tell them to eat shit.
Shout out to moms.
But he's a
Happy
gentleman.
Happy belated Mother's Day.
Happy belated Mother's Day.
This will be coming out on July 1st, so definitely happy belated Mother's Day.
We don't know where Arsene's father is.
Important.
He's dead.
Not important. I like that this one definitely has like some emotion that Arsene Lupin has. Like he definitely almost breaks the veil of his gentlemanliness when he's just like, you accused a sick woman that you were taking care of that
Right.
stole from you, you motherfuckers. Was that so noble of you? How dare you? And I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that whole like section of the story is really good.
I just
I,
I think that like giving him a firm background is something that I wouldn't want to say, also because I do like that etherealness to Arsene Lupin, where like we don't know the man of many faces, we don't know what he's from or what he's doing, but I feel like now it's like, well, now we know for sure that he's a little French kid. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Many people were once a little French child.
Not me.
Not you, but many people.
I was not either, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I understand
Nobody in
the,
this
the-
chat.
Yeah, I understand the desire to want to have that vague, right? And let you fill in the blanks and all that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I still feel like I'm happy with it being vague enough, you know, like, okay, this is his first little crime, and then what happens after that?
Yeah, that's true.
So that-
There's a lot in between.
There's a lot in between. I stole a necklace because nobody was fucking smart enough to look at me, and becoming fucking Arsene Lupin, gentlemen. Oh, woof woof.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's
Woof,
coming
woof.
through, but the dog, she is barking.
Why did I bark in response? I'm gonna fucking drink some water.
we all have heat stroke, and that's the last chapter.
That's the last chapter is heat stroke. It happened to me. It could happen to you.
It can happen to you. Everyone be so safe. Please take
Hydrate.
care.
Drink some water.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that this has a lot of good dialogue at the end there. Especially I liked the bit when Lupin says he simply had to desire the thing and reach out his hand to get it. And the Count says, and he reached out his hand. Both hands, replied the Chevalier, laughing, saying like, yeah, no, he had to use two hands. He was a kid to pick it up.
He's tiny.
And then, and then at the very end here, let's see here. But as all things must in the life of a man who strives for unity and logic converge towards the same goal. And, as a little advertising never does any harm, on the following day, the Echo de France published these sensational lines. And then it goes into a bit from the newspaper again, talking about the Queen's necklace being returned to the family.
Mhm.
Also, interesting, a lot of newspaper snippets as like the closing lines in these stories. Guess it just makes sense for that's how news was getting around, and it lets you see how the public is perceiving these incidents. But yeah, I just like that little bit that, yep, all said, Lupin is still wants to have a good public perception of his name in the end.
He's
Yeah.
a gentleman thief.
Yes. Absolutely.
He's a chill guy. And I love him.
So yeah, I had fun with these first 5 stories. I thought these were pretty good. Like we've said a couple times now already with coming to these classics, easy to see why it stuck around for so long.
It does
like,
like
oh yeah, it's good actually. It's good.
it kind of reminds me of like God, I did not want to say the sentence I was about to say, so I'll say something else. It's very important that Arsene Lupin is here because it is like seeing like a cornerstone of literature exist. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that are inspired by Lupin, and he created its own trope, the gentleman criminal or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to have, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's definitely something where, like, you look at it and go, oh, it's a little cliche, but, like, it's not. This was new, you know? Cliches are based on this. So.
Yeah. I mean, before this, I think the closest thing we had to a gentleman thief, maybe, like as the trope, I might be exposing my ignorance here when I say this, but is it really just Robin Hood before this? Robin Hood's obviously 13th, 14th century,
I mean,
believe.
I guess that doesn't not fit the concept.
I mean, he's a little bit more revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
But he still robs from the rich, gives to the poor kind of thing. So it's that kind of, so like, but obviously Lupin is still a different, still a different thing, and now has continued to exist as its own trope, you know, the gentleman thief. But I was trying to think of anything earlier that really solidified this trope, and I couldn't really think of anything else aside from anything close. That Robin Hood was the only thing close.
You can pull it up on Wikipedia. There's there's a huge list.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a whole list.
Okay, are they before or after?
The oldest one looks like it's Rocambole Thief Adventure, created by Pierre Alexis Ponce.
Okay, yeah.
1857. Arsene Lupin is the third on the list.
Okay.
He did that on purpose.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at this now. Okay. So, yeah,
wow,
I see that
we
here.
should have Googled that before we got here.
Yeah, he does anticipate Arsene Lupin. Okay, interesting.
I spent all my time Googling Antoine Watteau, so I take no responsibility.
Okay.
Look up my boy.
I
obtaining knowledge on the fly.
I attain knowledge on the fly. I am a genius. And sentence.
Alrighty. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was about 40-ish years, 30, 40 years before Lupin. 1857 versus 1905. So yeah, about 50 years. Interesting. Well, yeah, I think that's, unless anybody else has any last thoughts about this section of stories that we read.
I want to play Sly Cooper again.
You just want Sly Cooper.
I'm excited to read
Sly
more
2
of
and
this.
Sly 3 were good.
I'm excited to see what other antics not Sly Cooper, Arsene Lupin comes up to.
I wish.
I was having so much fun with this. I was reading it at work, and then I was like, oh no, I'm done. You know? Oh, but I should wait to read the rest of them. So, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I enjoy reading.
Now you're Unchained, Rose. You get to read more after this.
Rose.
I love to like sit down and like read a nice little book and have a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely punk rock of me.
Yep.
Enjoy your life.
All right. Well, yeah, then I think that will do it for us this week, folks. Next time we will be reading the last 4 stories of this book. So you can keep up with the show and everything that we do via our website, updatedautopsy.report. That has links to all of our social media accounts, and also we have our YouTube channel, which features Let's Plays and other fun videos, which is at youtube.com/@yotsben. You can follow me on all social media under the username Yotsben. Dessy, where can people find you?
At Dessy on Blue Sky for all of your Starscream needs.
And Tiago.
Tiago's gone.
Sorry, I'm a little warm. You can find me at Tiago S. Dutra on various social medias, including Blue Sky. There's a curtain on me. I'm very warm.
We'll set you free in a moment.
Set you free. Be free.
And Rose.
You can find me at Rose Nonsense on Blue Sky, and you can also find me out front of the Museum of Fine Arts Boston handing out flyers, because guess what, everybody? It's time. We need your help. The MFA staff is fighting for our second contract. We would love your support. We're fighting for fair wages, healthcare and transportation benefit increase. So if you want to help us out by accepting a flyer from me or my friends on the sidewalk in front of the MFA, you can also post on the MFA's social media at MFA Boston, or show your support for the MFA Union by following us on Instagram at MFA Union. Nice and easy.
Yippee!
Help us out.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're working our asses off out here, and we deserve more money.
True.
You do.
I We're
For the shit you have to put up with? Yeah.
You guys, you know.
We know.
Listeners who've worked customer service, you know what people are like. They do not pay us enough. Holy shit. So yeah, come see me. Come see me at the MFA and support our union.
Did any
that's my
listeners
job
today
reveal.
think that they were gonna? Did they think they were gonna finally get the job reveal this episode?
Yeah, I don't know if they did, but our contract is gonna end on the 30th, so that was yesterday, listeners. And as of right now, we do not have an arrangement. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen, but if you sort of are listening in the morning and you want to like just check out the union Instagram, see what we're up to, you could come hang out with me on the street in front of the MFA and hold a sign, because we might have to do something about that. And you're welcome to join me. I would appreciate it. I'd love to see you there. But up until then, come see the art. You can come see the Antoine Watteau. It's on the first floor. It's in Gallery 142. So, you can come look at the painting that Lupin stole.
You get an MFA guide right here.
I'm right here. If you want to know about art history, I will not shut the fuck up, as everyone in this chat knows.
Don't worry.
When I said I went to the MFA, I did that at work. I did that at work today. So
hell yeah.
Hell yeah, I did. Well, my boss isn't listening.
All right, sounds good.
All right, well,
maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can bleep that.
Yeah.
You bleep that name and replace it with one of Arsene Lupin's pseudonyms or whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds complicated.
Yeah, just
they know
bleep
who
it,
they
actually.
are.
True.
All right, well, thank you everybody for listening. We hope that you will rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Next time, we will be discussing the second half of The Extraordinary Adventures of Arsene Lupin by Maurice LeBlanc. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everybody for your support, because I know you're supporting us.
Yippee!